Trump, J.D. Vance, and others are expected to speak at Charlie Kirk's memorial service. Let's take a look.
President Trump, along with members of his cabinet and other conservative leaders, are expected to deliver remarks tomorrow at a memorial service for Charlie Kirk. The conservative activist was assassinated while making a public appearance at a college campus in Utah last week. A 22-year-old suspect was arrested for his murder, and prosecutors have said they will seek the death penalty in the case against him. Tomorrow's...
If you were invited, would you have declined the memorial service? If I was invited to the Charlie Kirk memorial service, I wouldn't go because they would literally red wedding me. Are you kidding me? That is not a safe environment for someone like myself at all. That is the highest density of hogs per capita anywhere around the planet in that very moment. Are you fucking kidding me? Feds? Hogs? Hog feds? I would not be able to walk out of that room. They would bury me. Out of your dang mind. That's a mass hog event. I mean, look, let me tell you, that is where I thrive. Because as you guys know, I am Mr. Hogwash. Like, I love being around hogs. You know this, okay? But unfortunately, at this stage in my career, there is no fucking shot that I could ever be around a mass hog event like that and make it out alive. There is no way, especially they got guns. No shot, brother. They'd be fighting one another just to get the first shot. What are the chances they turn it into more anti-left crusade over the actual memorial? It's 100% guarantee. Are you kidding me? It's very clear that the Republican administration, some of which do care about Charlie Kirk as like a person, right? Like some people in the administration actually do like him or did like him and cared about him. But many don't necessarily care beyond what they can get out of this. Wait, no guns are allowed at the memorial service? What? How can they be safe? Excuse me? What? What are you saying? What's next? You gonna tell me that there's no guns allowed at the NRA convention too? Get the frick out of here. That's my Second Amendment right. What the hell? Bro, you're gonna get banned? Stop. What do you mean? As a soft target, brother. Are you kidding me? What is this? An armed man detained at the Charlie Kirk Memorial site. An armed man claiming to be law enforcement has been... It already began, dude. What the fuck? Yo, I don't even know if this is like Antifa. I could totally see this being a conservative that went over there with a gun to be like, I'm gonna protect it. Republicans love LARPing like this. Man reportedly found with a gun and knife on him inside a State Farm Stadium ahead of Charlie Kirk Memorial Sunday. Source familiar says he presented expired law enforcement credentials and was not allowed to be inside the stadium. Secret Service statement. The U.S. Secret Service, in coordination with local law enforcement in Glendale, Arizona, is investigating an individual who's observed. Oh my God. Oh my God. This literally feels, this is a hog. This has to be a fucking hog that was like, I went in there to make sure Antifa doesn't fucking do anything crazy. This is the most hog-coded fucking event. Oh my God. Oh, I love hogs so much. This is also the other reason why it's a dangerous area. You put a fucking mass hog event on like this, there is going to be people who are like, I'm law enforcement. Like people who LARP as law enforcement or people who were formerly law enforcement. Oh, this is so funny. This is, I can't wait for them to trot out the most thumb-like individual, okay? Tactical style, perp walk him to be like, this is Antifa. And then you look at it and you're like, this is the most divorced man in America, okay? This is the most divorced former cop in the United States of America. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe this is a woke ex-cop, okay? Who knows? But not very likely, okay? We don't have enough information on this. This is a developing story. It just came out. But my initial suspicion is instantly, divorced dad, ex-cop, went there with knives and guns and whatnot to protect from Antifa threats. Many such cases have taken place. I'll give you an example. For example, when Donald Trump kept consistently lying, as Republicans do, about everything, but specifically about voter fraud, There were a lot of high-profile incidents that took place in the 2016 election about voter fraud. They weren't Democrats, though. They were Republicans. And they were, when they were caught voting illegally under the name of their, dead spouse or whatever, they said that they did it to combat the voter fraud from the from the left. And this is a similar situation where, like, hogs think that they're there to protect and serve. Like, this is a big problem with CCLs in general, concealed carry licenses in general, where, if there's like a mass shooting event, cops don't know who to shoot because there's a lot of people with guns who want to be the good guy with a gun. Okay, these guys think that they are a part of the team. CCW. Speaking of hogs, I think the entire state of Arizona seemingly is unsafe at this moment. A Phoenix man calling himself a martyr for Charlie Kirk was arrested after threatening to shoot up a gay bar to send a message. Mass hog event in Arizona. Please be safe, everyone. So once again, another instance of the violent, intolerant leftists. Yeah, this is a mass hog event, category 4, all systems go. I'm telling you right now, 2 things are going to happen, okay? You'll probably see a lot more of these guys being like riled up, angry, looking for vengeance, but also you'll probably see a lot of grinder outages in the entire state as well. Those are 2 guarantees I have for you, okay? 2 guarantees. It's a mass hog event. Grinder is going to get bricked in the state of Arizona. And there will be a lot of these like divorced dads and granddads running around being like, "Oh, I'm a Desert Storm veteran. I'm so angry. I need to take revenge." Oakleys will be sold out nationwide. Oh yeah. What are they going to overthrow? That's the problem. They have everything. They already control everything. So there's nothing for them to do. This is why they're doing this. Do you understand? The reason why they're doing this is because they already control all the levers of power. So the one thing that remains is the fact that people don't like them, the fact that people don't agree with their ideology, the fact that people just think, you're kind of a fucking loser and a weirdo. They have to squash that. They have to eradicate that dissent. They don't just want you to avoid them. They want you to loudly cheer for them. They want you to say, "You're so smart. You're so brilliant. You actually convinced me. I do think that Guatemalans are responsible for every awful thing that has happened in my life. I do think that trans people are responsible for every awful thing that's happened." That's what they want, because there's nothing like this is the thing that has motivated conservatives forever. The notion that their policies, their worldview is not exactly popular. And they have convinced themselves that it's not popular because of fucking Hollywood, because all the gays and all the wokes are in Hollywood, and they're constantly making people more woke. That's why they attack Disney so much. That's why they attack movies so much, where they're like, "I can't watch late night television because it's infested with woke." This is the reason. Because they think once, there is a million Daily Wire style productions out there, which have obviously been failures for very good reason, because it's dog shit. But if Hollywood was like full MAGA, then everyone would be full MAGA. Everyone would need to, if everyone was Mel Gibson and Clint Eastwood, then everyone would be MAGA. That's what they think. They think that. It's the one area that they haven't been able to tackle. Culture, okay? And that's why this kind of enforcement from the Trump administration of like making corporations do his bidding, right? And trying to sanitize language in the direction of conservative rhetoric. All of that is done at the behest of this conservative grievance, because they have everything. They're doing everything. They're playing tricks on it. They basically control all levers of power. And on top of that, they're eroding the existing institutional norms and and mechanisms of pushback and mechanisms of control whenever they see fit. Trump does whatever he wants. He can just say, I'm saying this is official, and by virtue of my status as the president, it's now a thing that's going to happen. And the Democrats are completely unable to even fight back a little bit against the faucet of fascism that is unleashed upon the American public. So they get to do whatever the fuck they want. But they can't stop you from thinking that this sucks. And they want to stop you from thinking that it sucks. They want you to actually celebrate this. They have convinced themselves that their worldview is incredibly popular. Okay? They've convinced themselves that if only we could just like silence dissent, then everyone would turn around and be like, you're right, actually. You are so right. I hate everything that you hate, and I love everything that you love. I think you're right. Trans people are responsible for all the societal ails that we have experienced. But that's not the case. But understand, that is the primary grievance for the average conservative in the United States of America. Once you recognize that, you recognize a lot of this stuff that's happening, a lot of this stuff that's unfolding. If you're confused by like why they have so much pushback on any kind of political dissent after spending years and years talking about wokes or whatever the fuck, this is the reason, okay? This is the reason. It's because they cannot cope with the reality that their ideas are unpopular. That's why I talked about the hog meltdown over Starbucks and the celebrations over Starbucks. Popular vote equals unpopular. This is the cope that a lot of people actually use, okay? This is the cope that a lot of people use. Number one, out of the voter eligible population, a lot of people unfortunately don't vote, okay? That's something that you always have to remember, because those people are the people around you. There are a fuck ton of people that you encounter on a daily basis that just simply don't vote. So to make this assessment off of just the election is an incorrect assessment. And on top of that, you have to remind yourself that there are consistent public approval polls that continue that continue to poll the overall public sentiment, and the overall public sentiment has dramatically shifted away from Donald Trump, right? So that's number one. Number two, okay, the notion that people go out and vote because they fully subscribe to the ideology is also ridiculous. Talk to some people and you will very quickly find out that there are Trump voters who went, I voted for Donald Trump because I did actually believe that immigrants were responsible for this shit. There were also, some really scary, really violent undocumented migrants like that were roaming the streets. It turns out they're just fucking arresting people at farms. And I don't like that at all. Those are my cousins. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff. Like these are the types of things that people vote for and then realize they were lied to on, okay? And then they change their attitude. They change their opinion. This happens with Democrats as well. There is a lot of buyer's remorse. So the notion that like, oh, well, they voted for him and he won the popular vote, which equals that he is popular, is silly. Now, this is something that I talked about quite a bit leading up to the election, and everything that I have, every assessment that I've made on what would happen after Donald Trump actually started implementing some of the policies that he presented would immediately make people turn on him once they realize that those policies, once implemented, would be fucking dog shit and violent and awful. It's happening. It's happening right now. Look at immigration. Immigration was his most popular policy prescription, and a lot of people fucking thought that they were voting for the right guy to deal with this problem, and then they realized, actually, once that agenda is implemented, the anti-immigrant agenda is implemented, they don't like it at all. It's normal. It happens all the time. So that's number one. Number two, the marginal victory that Donald Trump had over a demonstrably bad election, a demonstrably bad candidacy with Kamala Harris and a demonstrably unpopular administration with Joe Biden is not indicative of a Reagan-style sweep, okay? Like, he did not ever have the popular mandate. You're talking about a guy who was able to eke out a marginal victory over a administration that was responsible for a year and a half of negative real wage growth. The notion that this was like this broad sweeping popular mandate is only realized as a consequence of how deeply unpopular Republicans have been consistently, because for the past, however many election cycles now, this is one of the very few instances in the last 25 fucking years where they actually won the popular vote. Think about that. That's the reason. Doesn't he have a high approval rating with Republicans, though? That's the only popularity he cares about, isn't it? Sure, but it doesn't matter because Republicans alone are not going to make him win, and Republicans alone did not make him win. Okay? There are a lot of people in the margins that vote that go, I don't really pay attention. There's a lot of low propensity voters that he won, right? Hassan, can't take criticism from your own side. What is this? Imagine believing consequences means murdering someone and you're okay with it. Y'all are sick. You don't even know it. 9-month subscriber. What is happening? Hassan, can't take criticism even from your own side. Sad. You message me. Are you okay? Do you think this guy is me? That's a different person. Hassan on me is not me, chatter. Anyway, here, get a little shaky. What is happening? What criticism am I incapable of taking? I'm confused. This perfectly shows what you're talking about. U.S. presidential elections results ranked by percentage of eligible voters 1976 to 2024 includes preliminary election results 2024 as of November 7th. Sources: Federal Election Commission, University of Florida election tab. Yeah. In the United States of America, okay, the plurality does not vote. Out of the voter eligible population, the plurality does not vote. Non-voters are the biggest party, okay? So when we're having a conversation, and there's a bunch of different reasons for it. The Electoral College is one of them. The inability of either party in the duopoly to actually address some of the material demands people are making is another significant factor in this, right? But you have to remember, as I've said, with the exception of 2020 and Biden, okay, by a tiny margin, the plurality does not vote. Now, a big reason why 2020 was different, by the way, as opposed to all of these other elections, right? A big reason as to why this took place in 2020 was because of COVID. That's another major hurdle. Universal mail-in ballot registration and universal access was the reason why the plurality for the only 2020 election, the plurality was not the did not vote category. That's the reason why Trump got more votes than any other Republican ever got in that election, just like Biden got more votes than any other Democrat that ever got in that election. And then 2024, we go back to the plurality not voting for either party. So obviously, universal mail-in ballot access is a major factor in this as well. Elections not being conducted on a national holiday is a major reason for this as well. Do you understand? Like, we don't have compulsory voting in this country. And on top of that, there are many setbacks, many hurdles that make it a mission to actually go out and vote. And if there is no party that is presenting a case that is good enough, then you're not going to get off the couch, or rather, you're not going to take time off your busy work day. Because remember, elections take place during the work day. Okay? That's a non-observation. Whoever said both parties are fashion response to disenfranchisement benefits the fash. So now that we described this, because I got one guide, but I think it was productive because I wanted to explain that voter discontent has always been tremendously high in this country. Let's get back to the hogs, right? So they have all the power, but they're not popular. So what do you do when you're actually convinced, when you're trying to desperately convince yourself of your popularity, but you go out in the real world and many people look at you weird when you keep saying, I'm an anti-vaxxer, I'm this, I'm that, I fucking love the Trump administration. Why don't you love the Trump administration? You should love the Trump administration. You go in, you fucking cry at Starbucks. You cry at, wherever you're consuming commodities, right? Instead of engaging in internal reflection, instead of critically examining your worldview and maybe thinking, I might not have everything correct. Why is it that, my immediate relatives actually despise me for being this ride or die for this administration? What are they seeing that I'm not seeing? These are healthy internal conversations that one must have. Self-reflection. But a lot of people are completely incapable of doing this. So they just decide it must be systemic factors at play. Okay? It must be systemic factors at play. It must be that, Hollywood is run by the wokes. It must be this. It must be that. It must be that, mainstream media is all captured by liberals who are actively brainwashing the children. They're transing the children, this and that. We must actually have a coordinated effort to sanitize whatever people see, okay? They're poisoning the mind of the youth with the woke mind virus. These are the types of things that they fucking believe, and it's actually insane to believe these things. But then again, remember, Americans believe a lot of insane shit. So this is just one extra thing to add into the pile, right? But this kind of stuff will only happen. This kind of stuff will happen with regular frequency, okay? This kind of stuff will happen with regular frequency and in higher and higher likelihood, because there is a lot of unexamined resentment, unexamined anger towards the sheer unpopularity of the way these guys see the world, and the inability or the lack of interest from the administration in addressing some of the material harm that they're experiencing, despite the fact that they are in power. So they have to either look with suspicion to the administration for once and critically examine the administration's actions, and maybe come to the recognition that just like the Democrats, the demon rats, the Republicans are also corrupt and are not even remotely invested in making their lives more livable. Or they just go back and think we just haven't been violent enough to these marginalized groups. We haven't actually punished them enough. Some people do the former, but unfortunately a lot of people do the latter. This kind of expression of manic violence, I think, is a perfect example of this. An armed man claiming to be law enforcement has been detained at the site where Charlie Kirk's memorial is due to take place in Arizona. The suspicious individual was carrying a gun and a knife when he was apprehended at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale on Friday, the New York Times reported. The Arizona Department of Public Safety identified the man as Joshua Runkles, 42. He was picked up inside the stadium before any secure perimeter had been established ahead of the service on Sunday, Secret Service spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi told Fox News Digital. The U.S. Secret Service, in coordination with local law enforcement in Glendale, Arizona, is investigating an individual who was observed exhibiting suspicious behavior at State Farm Stadium, he said. The man who was yet to be identified was wait, what? Who writes these fucking articles at Daily Mail Co. UK, man? Like, you literally said you identified him. Is this a fucking AI article? What is happening? The man is yet to be identified. 2 paragraphs prior, you identified the man. God, they're so bad. Okay, anyway. It is literally a dish rag. The Daily Mail Co. UK. Fucking hell. It's the New York Post of the fucking UK. It's not a reliable source of news. Yeah, let's look at the New York Times one instead. Secret Service detains armed man at Kirk Memorial Site, officials say. The man was posing as law enforcement officer, the authorities said, and he was taken into custody. Yeah, let's go to the fucking wokes at the New York Times. Hey, hello, lads. Fucking hell. Suspect Joshua Runkle has been booked. Oh, shit. Maybe he might, who knows? He might be Antifa. This is not the actual thumb that I thought he would look. He is not bald enough. He looks like a libertarian. Runkles was arrested at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona after showing suspicious behavior. Runkles is not a law enforcement officer, according to DPS. He was taken into custody by the DPS and booked in the Maricopa County Jail. An investigation is ongoing to determine his intent and purpose at the stadium. Runkles has been silent. Runkles has since been released on bond. The U.S. Secret Service says is investigating in coordination with local law enforcement an individual who was observed exhibiting suspicious behavior at State Farm Stadium. The individual was approached by Secret Service agents and said during the encounter that he was a member of law enforcement and that he was armed, a Secret Service spokesperson told ABC News. This individual was not a member of authorized law enforcement work in the event, and an investigation is ongoing as to why he was there. What do you think his plan was? I mean, if he's remotely left, right? The way they'll present this is like he's Antifa. He wanted to kill Republicans at this memorial, but it does feel like the higher likelihood, most likely, is that he is a libertarian Arizonan, ex-cop, or maybe not even law enforcement, maybe like a security guy who is just a LARPer who wanted to be there to like protect, because when you go up to Secret Service and you're like, I'm a law enforcement officer, sir, it just comes across like you're fucking LARPing. You know, and a lot of hogs love doing that shit, which is ironic because, like, technically, I don't even know if what he was doing was illegal. Like, the way we have designed society, especially the way we have designed society, especially in places like Arizona, what that man was doing is technically not illegal, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's open carry state. You know, people fancy themselves to be law enforcement, all this shit. Obviously, impersonating a police officer is illegal. So there's that. Trespassing. But I'm just saying, like, there's leniency to this sort of thing under normal circumstances, but obviously there's a heightened tension. There is a heightened tension here, so that's part of the reason why this guy got, I suspect. But I can, once again, like I said, he doesn't look super hog-like. He looks more like he could be a libertarian type of dude, but it didn't say he was impersonating. It said he was a part of their It said he wasn't a part of the authorized law enforcement. I mean, other news reports said he had an expired law enforcement license on him. Anarchist, zero shower having motherfucker. No. This is the anarchists on the right look like this as well. He seems like a libertarian, possible former cop that doesn't believe in germ theory. Also doesn't shower with regular frequency, but is on the right. Yeah, carrying a weapon into a prohibited place and impersonating a police officer. No, I understand that that's like, I understand that is technically illegal. I'm just saying that a good defense attorney could make mincemeat of something like that because of places like this having like a lot higher frequency of sovereign citizen style cop LARPers and veteran LARPers that have never actually served in the military. You know what I mean? Anyway, Arizona has a massive unhinged hog population. They stormed the election office in Maricopa in 2020. How can I forget? It was awesome. I watched it happen in real time. Okay. But yeah, man arrested at firearms and knives was observed exhibiting suspicious behavior at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona when agents approached him. Anthony Guglielmi, chief of communications of the Secret Service, said in a statement, identity of the man was not released and it was unclear where exactly he was on the grounds, whether he was being charged. Secret Service, local law enforcement are investigating what the individual was doing at the stadium. The arrest, which was first reported by the Washington Post, heightened security concerns for the memorial on Sunday for Mr. Kirk, the conservative activist who was assassinated in Utah last week. The stadium, the home to the NFL Arizona Cardinals, can seat up to 73,000 people, and President Trump, Vice President Vance, and several cabinet members are scheduled to speak. If the stadium reaches capacity, the nearby Desert Diamond Arena, which can hold 19,000 people, will be used to accommodate the overflow. Because of the high anticipated turnout and the dignitaries attending, the Department of Homeland Security has designated the memorial a top-level security event. Turning Point USA conservative advocacy organization, Mr. Kirk, founded that is organizing the event, has said that security precautions could extend the wait time for attendees to get into the venue. It is scheduled to open 3 hours before the service begins, 11 a.m. local time. No bags will be allowed in, the organization has said. No bags, no guns, baby. Obviously. And it's going to, the memorial service will start 11 a.m. local time. I'm obviously going to be covering this. I'm obviously going to be covering this tomorrow when it happens. We'll be there live and alive, not on the ground, of course, because I think this is probably the most dangerous place for someone like myself to be in, or many people to be in, really. Because, like I said, there's a lot of anger in a very densely populated hog environment. And here is one of the outcomes of such a thing. A Phoenix man calling himself a martyr for Charlie Kirk was arrested after threatening to shoot up a gay bar to send a message. Man claiming to be Charlie Kirk's martyr allegedly threatened to shoot up a gay bar in Slain activist named Trevin Michael Goki was arrested in Arizona on a terroristic threat charge. Now, of course, this one looks a lot more hog-coded, like the average hog. A federal source told Fox News that Runkles was a former law enforcement member from another state who came and identified himself with expired credentials. Joshua Runkles charged after suspicious behavior. Yeah, he told the agents he was there to provide additional security. I don't want no motherfucker to ever tell me I don't know my hogs. Okay, listen, this is my life. Do you understand? This is what I do for a living. I love my hogs. I want to hug and kiss my hogs. Do you understand me? I literally took one glance at the fucking headline of the story and I was like, that's a hog, baby. That's not, let me tell you, baby, that's not Antifa. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. That was a quick That was a quick change, okay? Joshua Runkles was arrested after allegedly bringing weapons to the State Farm Stadium ahead of Charlie Kirk's memorial at federal source tells Fox News. Runkles, a former law enforcement officer from another state. Mass hog event, baby. What is this? We got another hog? Mora man charged with threatening to kill 2 music directors in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. A Mora man who reportedly threatened to hurt and kill 2 separate church music directors facing numerous charges. Josh Allen Sandine Jr., 64, has been charged with multiple felonies after sending emails claiming he would harm and kill 2 people, apparently in response to the September 10th assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Court documents stated that Sandine sent emails to 2 church music directors, one in Maple Grove and another in White Bear Lake. Sandine reportedly threatened both of the individuals. I think that you and your cohorts have killed my friend Charlie, Sandine reportedly wrote in one email to the man in Maple Grove. For this, I hold you and your people responsible. It's fair game to let the hunted know that they are hunted. You are now advised. In other emails, Sandine reportedly described how he hurt and killed a Maple Grove director, breaking his fingers, castrating, and decapitating him. When speaking with the police, the Maple Grove director said he had never met Sandine and could not recall an interaction that occurred between the two. The director from White Bear Lake informed authorities in Ramsey County that he had known Sandine for many years and that the two would often communicate over the phone or email. The director recalls Sandine had attended a Beatles ensemble concert where the Maple Grove director was performing. During the concert, the Maple Grove director reportedly made a quip about ice between the sets, which Sandine allegedly took offense to. Yeah. Hog Tifa, baby. Hog Tifa, baby. Yeah, yeah. God damn. Yeah. I mean, this is evangelical ISIS. Okay. Yes. You're about to receive a decapitation. The White Bear Lake director told authorities that emails sent to him made threats to the other director, but also had threats directed at him. All your liberal left-leaning people are now targets, Sandine allegedly wrote. You people killed my friend with your rhetoric. My friend? Brother, you are a 64-year-old man, dude. How are you a 64-year-old man and you have a parasocial relationship with a 31-year-old political commentator? How is that possible, bro? God damn, we do not know what the internet was going to bring about, dude. We were not ready. We are caught with our pants down. Holy shit. Oh. Ramsey County authorities later found Sandine at an airport hangar and questioned him about the emails. Sandine initially told investigators that he did not recall sending any, but after being read one of the messages, he said, remember writing it. Sandine reportedly told authorities he did not remember to whom he had sent it and that he was likely drunk when he wrote it. He was arrested. Because the directors live in separate counties, Sandine is facing 2 separate court days for the threats. Because in Ramsey County, he's facing 1 count of felony stalking and another count of threats of violence. In Hennepin County, he is facing 4 counts of threats of violence. Sandine is currently in the custody of Ramsey Court Jail. I mean, I'm glad that law enforcement is like doing their job still, so that's cool. Obviously, I feel like I would take up the entirety of the FBI's budget and the Los Angeles Police Department and the Sheriff's Department's budget if I were to take these kinds of immediate threats seriously. But it's reassuring to say the least that they're still, covering some of this stuff. Jaeger or Larson, thank you for the 5 gifted. Don't get excited. They mistook him for a homeless man at first. Oh, so yeah. Mass hog event. Ladies and gentlemen, wee woo. Arizona is officially declared PvP unlocked mass hog event zone. Newsom is under investigation for making a threat. Wait, what? Kirsty Noem's going to have a bad day today. You're welcome, America. We have zero tolerance for direct or implicit threats against government officials. I've referred this matter to Secret Service, says the U.S. Acting U.S. Attorney Bill Isaly, and requested a full threat assessment. Wait, what? Yeah, no, it's because of the bills that California just signed into law banning most law enforcement officers from wearing masks during operations. Wait, what? You can't even fucking say that the Department of Homeland Security director is going to have a bad day because she wants to make sure that her masked agents of the state remain anonymous when they're doing like straight up illegal operations on U.S. soil in numerous states. What the fuck? They unironically want to make it so that you can't say anything. Like you cannot, it is illegal to oppose the right. It is illegal to oppose the right, dude. Oh my God. These guys clearly want to criminalize opposing the right in any way, shape, or form. It's not even snowflake shit. I don't think you guys understand. Calling them soy doesn't do the situation justice is certainly beyond that. It's like, I mean, they are soy, and for depending on which audience you're speaking to, it's good to like clearly communicate how silly this stuff is, and you can belittle them, okay? But also understand the danger here, the danger this presents. Also, yeah, here it is. NBC News update. No evidence found yet of ties between Charlie Kirk's shooting and left-wing groups, officials say. 3 people familiar with the federal probe into Kirk's assassination told NBC News that investigators have yet to find a link between the alleged shooter and left-wing groups. Why more people can't just accept that he had an incomprehensible ideology, that his brain was poisoned by deep recess of the internet, and that his motives were steeped in layers of meme-based nihilism? No, I think that is also kind of an out, like a silly out overall. Do you see the Nelk boys on their podcasts were definitely uncomfortable with Kimmel being removed? Steiny himself said slippery slope. Yeah, no, because a lot of people that find themselves on the right are like apolitical leaners into reactionary politics because they just have done a much better job at marketing that kind of political worldview to the apolitical audiences by simply saying, oh, do you want to say the R word without like annoying wokes yelling at you? Vote for us. So when they subscribe to the right wing, when they go out and they vote for the right, or when they go out and defend the right, or when they go out and platform the right or Donald Trump, they don't really consider what it's going to look like. It is on us to explain to them what that looks like, which is something that I did over and over and over again. And yet, if you were to ask the fucking dumbass liberals online who constantly chirp at me, they were like, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. So like, I did. I spent every waking moment doing just that. You kind of talk to your own audience, though. Let's be real. I mean, it's interesting that you are saying this. I did also go on a bunch of right-wing podcasts, both before the election and also certainly after. Okay. Anyway, let's look at the news coverage now.
Service will be held at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, not far from the Phoenix headquarters of Turning Point USA. That's the organization Kirk founded. Chris Van Cleve is there.
State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona can hold more than 63,000 people, but on Sunday, police are anticipating more than 100,000 to try to attend Charlie Kirk's memorial service. So many, his organization Turning Point USA also reserved the hockey arena next door.
I want for his family to know that Charlie was important to very many people.
Tom Wilson is a former youth pastor from Colorado. He says he's driving a group of about a dozen people to Arizona in his church's van.
When I put it on Facebook, hey, we're going to take a van and anybody wants to go.
Bro, this is the hog pilgrimage. I'm telling you right now, this is hog pilgrimage, baby. From all around the nation, they are going to descend upon Arizona. Many of them will obviously bring their favorite guns because they have to. It's their comfort gun, right? It's their emotional support gun. Many of them are completely unaware of what the Arizona summer will do to their brains. I'm telling you, this is a mass hog event. If you live in the state of Arizona, understand it's hog springer. It's the Hodge, but for the hogs. It's the hoggage. Okay? This is a mass hog event. You guys do not understand what this is going to look like. Many of you that live in Arizona, who are woke, who are liberals, you think you know your neighbors, okay? And you do, but your neighbors they're basically like lizards, just like you. Their brains have already been fried by the Arizona summer. You don't know what it's going to look like when a motherfucker from Minnesota is descending upon Arizona after doing this like multiple day car trip, okay? Cooked up in a goddamn car, angry, running on fucking fumes, Hogcella style, coming in and then having their brain further fried by 110-degree heat in the desert. I'm telling you right now, that shit is different. That's a different being. That's a different demon. Arizona natives, remember, your native hogs are acclimated to the territory. They're acclimated to the ecosystem. They're a part of it, right? This is like bringing in a totally different species of hog into an environment and just releasing them en masse. They don't know. They don't know what it's like to just sit around and wait in a fucking line as like Secret Service is patting down every single person. You know what I mean? 100,000 people getting fucking patted down by the Secret Service so they can get into this memorial service. They're going to be fucking pissed. If you work in a Bass Pro Shop in the Arizona area, I highly suggest you try to call out of work. You are going to be dealing with people that are very upset. Okay? If you work at a Starbucks in the Arizona, in the surrounding region of Glendale, Arizona, there are going to be 1 million people that are trying to get you to write Charlie Kirk. And if you accidentally misspell the name, you might be in trouble. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm joking a little bit, but also it's hog girl summer right now. Only 98 degrees tomorrow. It shouldn't be that bad. Brother, yeah, you're speaking like a fucking Arizonan. Okay? 98 degrees tomorrow is not bad for you. 98 degrees, like 98 degrees from a dude coming up from like a dude from Utah is going to look at that and be like, this is what the hell. They're going to have a very different reaction to that dry desert heat. That's boiling points. If you work in an Applebee's, you will be busier than you ever have been and you will get no tips. Oh, true. Anyway.
We'll split the gas. I had people saying, I'll tell you what, we'll pay the gas. So I think people are saying, I can't go, but I want to help.
President Trump, Vice President Vance, and other VIPs will also be there, prompting several federal law enforcement agencies to issue a new warning Thursday. In an assessment obtained by CBS News, law enforcement said they are tracking several threats against those planning to attend the memorial, but emphasized there is no information suggesting a verified or credible plot. Glendale Police spokesman Jose Santiago.
Remember, not only are we handling the...
Remember, that's the woke security assessment by federal law enforcement, okay? That is not pertinent to the mind of the hog. The hog believes in a permanent status, a permanent state of victimhood, okay? So in the mind of the hog, they're coming down there thinking that there are security threats happening everywhere and they have to make kinetic assessments in real time. They have to tactically ascertain whether or not there are perps. They're going to be doing ocular pat downs. They're going to be engaging people kinetically. Okay. That is the environment. They do not care. Not that funny anymore. Stop dragging this shit. I mean, it's kind of funny, but also it's not so funny. I'm both joking, but also talking about something serious that I suspect.
Security for this event outside of the venue, we still have an entire city that we still have to protect.
The Department of Homeland Security has designated the memorial as a Level 1 security event on par with the Super Bowl. Hundreds of state, federal, and local law enforcement will work side by side, with the U.S. Secret Service taking the lead. Security measures include uniformed and plainclothes officers, drones, and 300 cameras for surveillance, as well as counterterrorism sniper teams.
The only difference here is when you have something like the Super Bowl, we had upwards of 2 years to plan an event like that. This we had a week to work with. We are basically all hands on deck.
Many of the people coming here to the Turning Point headquarters in Phoenix to pay their respects are hoping to go to that memorial on Sunday. If you're not a VIP or an invited guest, it will be first come, first serve. And police tell us that really visible, stepped up security presence will likely be very clear by early tomorrow morning. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Chris Van Cleve in Phoenix.
Charlie Kirk will be held tomorrow in Glendale, Arizona, and the public tribute is receiving the highest security designation from federal officials.
Matt Finn joining us now from Glendale and has more on the service preparations. Hey, Matt.
Good morning, Griff. At this time tomorrow, we expect tens of thousands of people to begin making their way onto the property here. Of course, they're going to be greeted by intense federal and local security sweeping the place, not only for the president, but a long list of VIPs. And ahead of the ceremony tomorrow morning, the Secret Service says a suspicious man with a gun and a knife was taken into custody Friday after he was found inside State Farm Stadium, according to the Washington Post. The Secret Service says the unidentified man was exhibiting suspicious behavior inside the stadium when agents approached him. The report says the man claimed to be law enforcement but showed fake credentials.
You think Candace Owens is going? No, they wouldn't let her speak, so she's not attending, she said. Right? Did I I feel like I read somewhere on Twitter on a brief glance that she's not attending it because they wouldn't let her speak.
He's in custody, and we're going to keep you updated on this report.
Yeah,
and tomorrow,
she said it was a Fed event.
Tomorrow's memorial for Charlie Kirk here in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm Stadium, home to the Arizona Cardinals, has been designated a Tier 1 level event, equivalent to a Super Bowl. DHS telling Fox News this designation is reserved for events of the highest national significance and enables the federal government to provide the full range of law enforcement and security resources necessary to support local officials in ensuring a safe and successful event. Now, last night at the campus where Charlie was assassinated, there was a vigil for unity at Utah Valley University. And here's UFC CEO Dana White calling for unity on Fox.
And all I'm looking for, over the rest of this year and into next year is some unity, coming back together as a country and stop all the infighting and the finger pointing and, just some normalcy again. Let this country get back to normal.
So State Farm Stadium behind me has fixed seating for 63,000 people. It can expand beyond that. I personally heard from people all over the country who say they want to make their way here tomorrow for the memorial. We'll be on the ground and we'll keep you guys updated.
All right, Matt, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe.
We already covered that extensively for the record. That was what we covered was the guy that they apprehended, who I initially suspected as soon as I saw as soon as I heard of the details, I was like, that's got to be a hog that went there with like good intentions from the hog perspective, which is, I wanted to provide extra security, all hands on deck, that type of situation. Do you ever think about how Charlie wouldn't have given you the same charity that you're giving him? I bet he'd called you all types of names. No, that's not true. That's not true. He would probably be covering me in the exact same way that I have covered him. No, he 100% would say he'd probably be even nicer. No, there are many conservatives who'd be celebrating it, but no, Charlie Kirk would not be one of those people because he's always been a very very cordial person. Hasan is so wrong on this. No, 100%. No. Charlie Kirk was ruthless to like George Floyd. Okay, he would most likely see it in a similar vein to what I saw. If I was the one who got shot right before we debated, he would probably also feel the same way, like the same sense of fear that it could have been him. Not when it came to George Floyd. Yes, because he's racist, of course. Because what do you mean? Yes, he's racist and he doesn't know who George Floyd is. That is the expected performance from him. In that situation, like this is the the DNC dab up clip is like.
What's up, Charlie? How you doing?
You gotta send me commission on all the YouTube videos you make about.
You don't think he'd be racist to you? It's different. Like think about how he fucking talked about Cenk, you know what I mean? I'm keeping it $150. He was very, very racist, but I don't think he would do that in that situation. Yeah, he wasn't racist to Owens. Okay, that's different. That's an ideological ally. Guys, Hasan is rich is different. I mean, to a certain degree, that also factors into it for sure. Like these are people who treat this back and forth debate as like a part of the theater. You know what I mean? Like he clearly saw me as a peer. That's what it is.